attending in our webinar series. This is the beginning of the 2025 webinar series, and we are going to start today by going over some of the resources available on the SDO website, and then also talking about the American Community Survey resources that we have available. So, today we're going to walk through our website again to kind of show you where some resources are to help you get to the data that you need. We'll talk a little bit about census geographies. We're demographers. Everything that we do is tied to a geographic unit of some sort. And then we'll go through the ACS spreadsheets that are up on our website. And then finally, we'll talk about some of the technical details that you need to be aware of to use the ACS effectively. So to begin with, this is our website. And what you see here to begin with is we have various introductory materials, but then the big set of information here are these tables, which are designed to give you sort of simple upfront statistics for Colorado and then for a particular county. Pick Douglas County for the heck of it. The tables that are on the left, the 4 tables on the left, are from the State Demography Office estimates. The tables that are on the right are from the American Community Survey. If you click on one of these links, you will go to a lookup application that allows you to select multiple counties, select multiple years, and select data points. And then when you click on Generate Table, you will get a tabulation of your selections, and then you can download that by clicking on the CSV button, and you'll see the information that you selected that you can use for further analysis. For the American Community Survey resources here, first of all, this link will take you to data.census.gov, which is the census data portal. And by clicking on any one of these links will take you to a specific table within data.census.gov. You'll see this table here, and you'll notice that it's the selection of the most recent ACS 5-year data, but you can select other data files if you need. For the county that you had selected from our homepage, and then you can customize this table by clicking on the geos to select additional geography. Say, for example, you wanted to compare 2 counties in Colorado or 3 counties in Colorado. You have a list of all your counties here. You see that Douglas County is already checked, but say you wanted to compare Douglas and Adams County, you can click on that button, and then the table will update. So here you've got information from Adams County, here you've got information from Douglas County. Once you've gotten your selection properly laid out, you can then download that file, download that data file using Excel or a CSV file or the zip file if you want like a lot of detail. And then this information comes to you in a spreadsheet, which has got the citation information here, and then also the data that you selected. So you can use this again to help calculate percentages or to calculate whatever statistics that you need to have for that particular data set. Now, on our website, the other thing down here on the bottom, you see our publications, including the webinars, training and webinars link, which has got information about the webinar and including the slides and the examples that we have. You can also, we have specialized data tools for specific applications, and then our information about us and about the Census Bureau. The main kind of, in addition to these data points, we also have topical areas where our data is organized by topic, and geographic areas where our data is organized by major geographies. Each of these sections are organized in the same manner. You will have a button that links you to a visualization page. You'll have a button that links you to a set of spreadsheets that provide an entire data series. For example, some users need to have data for all counties or all municipalities over a series of years that they would put into their data systems. You can access that here. And then we have our lookup applications, which are for getting specialized data points. And then finally, we have population methodology and background document information. Want to take a look at some of our visualizations. We have a lot of them, that are that reflect really requests that we've gotten over time about, I want to be able to see a particular layout for a particular geography, and we've developed tools for that. I want to take you here to the to our demographic dashboard. What you'll see here are a series of charts for a specific geography. This geography, you can choose either counties, um, the list of all the counties here, or you can choose regions, which are collections of counties. We've got all of the various regions that DOLA uses and census regions of different sorts. And then within a region, you can drill down to a specific county within a region. And you'll see that all of these charts update as you change the selections. These charts have an interactive feature that you can hover over to get a particular value for a particular year. Additionally, wherever you see this icon, you have the ability to download the data that is in a chart. You can download the chart itself, or you can go to a lookup application. When you download the chart, what you will get is a chart that is laid out to fit in a Word document or a PowerPoint slide, so you can incorporate them into your work, into your presentations. We'll go back here to the spreadsheet listings. Like I said, this is a list of all of the spreadsheets that we have that are about particular topical areas. And you can see that we've got them for states and regions. We got them for municipalities, and we've also got them for counties. And then finally, we want to talk about the lookup applications. And the lookup applications give you the ability to select particular geographies and particular years, and then you can group things up, and what you'll generate is a table that you can then download and manipulate further as your work continues. The next area I want to really talk about, as we will be returning to this, are some of our resources for census data. Here we have a set of visualizations and maps, spreadsheets for the decennial census, spreadsheets for the American Community Survey, and then a set of external links. So I want to talk a little bit about some of these applications. First of all, we have this interactive map showing American Community Survey data for Colorado by, we have different data series that you can select to look at things. Let's just say percent disabled, and you'll see Once this gets processed, there we go, we get this processed, and you can see this information at the county level. You can also select a geography. You can select particular data sets as you need. And then additionally, this gives you the ability to build a data set for specific counties, which then you can download as a CSV again. The other area that's, go back here. Another area that we have important information about are our American Community Survey applications. Over the past couple of days, there have been sort of a consistent interruption in the Census Bureau data resources, things that are available. So we have taken 3 documents that are really essential for using the American Community Survey and added local copies to our page so you can download things. The first is the table shells. This is a listing of all of the tables that the ACS produces and all the contents of those tables. It's a very important piece of information as you're trying to plan out your your research, and trying to, identify which tables you should use and what categories that you have available. And like I said, you can download that here locally. Additionally, there's the subject definitions document, which describes how particular measures are derived. If you were interested in understanding what um, limited English speaking ability means, you have the ability to look at that documentation and understand how the questions on the American Community Survey are used to develop particular measures. And then finally, we have the ACS handbook. This handbook is an essential document. It outlines the ACS um, design, and it outlines, how you manipulate ACS tables. It provides really good examples for calculating new percentages and, what happens when you collapse a table or aggregate a geography. So this is an essential resource. And then again, you can get it down, you can get the 2008 version from our local resources. So finally, the last thing I want to talk about on this set of pages are the American Community Survey spreadsheets. We're going to talk about this in a great, in some detail in a moment. But these are a list of 65 spreadsheets for counties and municipalities and places that we have derived from the latest um, iteration of the American Community Survey. We provide this for all counties and all municipalities and all places to help, facilitate your work again. So we will return to this in just a second. So what this slide shows is just really a general layout of the left-hand margin. So where you can find what it is you need to get, if you need general information, if you need information about the components of population change, information about households, about jobs. The ACS will get very familiar with that section in a moment. You can download a lot of data files. And then at the very bottom of that is a button that says send us a question. That will send us a question that we will, be happy to answer, and will help you if you're completely lost, or if you can't find something, or you need to talk to us, get in touch with us. That's the best way of doing that, and we will make sure that we respond to these questions typically within the same day that you submit them. And then finally, just my rule of thumb, always like to use the right tool for the job. So if you need pictures, or if you're interested in just exploring things, a good place to start is with the visualizations. If you need a single number, you can look that up on the home page or in the lookup applications. And if you need the entire series, then you have the spreadsheets. So typically, we have four types of data that are available on our website for very general data series. The first one are annual state and county population estimates, and also and forecasts, and also annual municipal population estimates. So that information is updated every year. Typically, they are released when we conduct the State Demography Summit in November. We also have information about unemployment, which comes monthly from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then we have quarterly estimates of employment and wages from the QCEW. We don't have great data about employers or firms. If you need that information, send us a question and we will help get you in touch with the resources that are available from the Census Bureau and from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. On the census side, we have information from the decennial census, which is, a once in a decade enumeration of housing units to do three things. Most importantly, it supports the apportionment of members of the House of Representatives. And secondly, it's used to define political and administrative boundaries in the state. And then it provides a baseline for estimates and forecasts. Everything else that we provide and virtually every question that we get deals with the American Community Survey. Those, that tool provides social, household, and economic data for a lot of different uh, configurations at a lot of different geographies. So when you ask us a question, what about people with disabilities? What about non-English speakers? What about, you know, the number of short-term rental housing units in my area? We will typically go to the American Community Survey, and that is a very important resource. So this, again, just sort of lays out the data and the geographies that we have available. And as you can see, a lot of this, everything that is about social characteristics and most of our information about jobs and housing comes from the American Community Survey. So we talk about geography. We're demographers. Everything that we do is relative to a defined place. And the geography. Now, there are sets of geographies that the Census Bureau defines as being on the spine. That means that lower levels are completely subsumed by a higher level. It's a hierarchy of geographies. So census tracts are all within counties, counties are all within states, etc. There are many important geographies that are off spine, okay? Municipalities and places often span counties. For example, in Adams County, almost every municipality it spans the borders of Adams County, and it's in an adjoining county. Same thing is true about zip codes, but zip codes not only span municipalities, they span counties, and they can also span states. So that's a unique geography, but we can get you information about that if you really need it. And then we have information about school districts. The ACS provides information about unified school districts in Colorado. So you can access that through the Geos button in the short demo that we gave about data.census.gov. Now, when we work with different organizations, every organization has a unique geography that they use, a very non-standard geography. In some cases, a organization will serve two counties and a slice of a third. So if you're in that situation, you should come and talk to us because we'll do what we can to help you get a summary for all of those geographies. Although if you say, are in El Paso County and you serve a 2 mile slice of Teller County, we'll do the best that we can to get that 2 mile slice in Teller County, but you may have to just be comfortable using information from El Paso. Every one of these situations is unique, and we won't know what we can get you until we talk. So please, if you're, beginning your, an analysis, always just click on the question button from our web page and let us know what's going on. So we have we have a new geography that we are adding to the spreadsheets about places. Excuse me. So the Census Bureau defines places as legally recognized municipalities and something called a census designated place. A census designated place is effectively a town. It doesn't have a legally defined boundary or an active government. There are a lot of these around. They're unincorporated communities, planned communities, university towns, barracks, all those sorts of things. The Census Bureau provides population data for CDPs only in each decennial census. That means that they do not, uh, update and create population estimates for CDPs, but information about CDPs are collected and summarized in the American Community Survey. So here's our example. Acres Green. Acres Green is great. It's the first CDP in our list. It's in northern Douglas County, and it's surrounded on three sides by the city of Lone Tree. In 71, when it was founded in 71, it's about 385 acres, had about, 1,100 housing units and about 3,000 people in 2020. So this is an example of how, you know, the CDPs, which in this case is a housing development, relate to municipalities. Okay, so now our ACS spreadsheets. Like I said, we produced a set of 65 spreadsheets for the 2019-2023 ACS. The contents of these spreadsheets is really driven by the requests that we get. So we have information about 10 topics, and the ones that are starred are the topics that have expanded significantly between the 2004, from the 2018 ACS. So we've added tables about ancestry by geographic region, continents, to help supplement um, ethnicity and race and ethnicity tabulations. We have added tables about occupancy status, including listing the seasonally vacant housing units, which is the Census Bureau proxy for short-term rental units. And we have that for counties and for municipalities and places. Now, strictly speaking, these are not short-term rental units, but it's as close as the Census Bureau provides. We have information about homes with a mortgage, about housing costs for renters and owners, and information about cost-burdened households. Now, we've also gotten a lot of questions about language, and we have language table, for tables for language spoken at home for individuals and households. And when we just have the summary of those languages, we have detailed categories. For example, we have listings of people who reportedly speak Chinese, those who speak Korean, those who speak Japanese, those who speak a Filipino language. For other tables that break things out by the ability to speak English, by age, by race and ethnicity, and nativity, where someone is born, we have limited categories. Instead of having the detailed Asian languages, we have a category of Asian languages. And then on top of this, we always have Spanish. And then in Colorado, the most common non-English language spoken is Spanish. And that is a function of our particular population. So that information is available for you. And, if, in many cases, you can get that information down to the tract level. So if you really need to do to do that, please give us a call, send us a note, and we'll help you out. Finally, with work and commuting, we've added some tables in response to some of the housing needs assessment variables and requirements that have come into law recently. These housing needs assessments are opportunities to get information about where people are working and where people are commuting very generally, like at the percentage of people who are uh, working outside of their location of residence. If you need to know commuting flows, like if you need to know where people are commuting, the source for that information is the Census Bureau on the map application. And again, you can look that up, or you can send us a note and we can help you get in touch with that. Now, some more detail about the American Community Survey. So first of all, the American Community data that we have comes to us in tables. They're pre-tabulated, and what we have to do often is we have to manipulate those tables. We have to, we can collapse categories to get, broader categories, say, of income or of age. We can aggregate geographies to create a summary for someone's service territory. But one thing that we can't do is disaggregate a table. We can't take, a tabulation and make it more detailed. So we have three data sets produced by the Census Bureau every year. The ACS one-year data set comes for geographies with 65,000 people or more. A set there also produces a set of supplementary tables for geographies with 20,000 people or more. And then we have the ACS 5-year data, which is our, produce 5-year period estimates for all geographies down to the census block. So this schematic just kind of shows how these data sets are generated. In the 1-year data, you take data that was collected in a particular year, you run it through a data cleaning and data weighting and tabulation process, and then you get a set of tables. With the 5-year data, they combine 5 years of single data sets, single year data sets, and go through a similar process. What this means is that if you're using 1-year data, you can compare single years to each other. But in 5-year data, you have information for a 5-year period, and it's not an average. It's based on the number of observations within that period, and you can compare non-overlapping periods. Currently, you can compare a 15-year span comparing 3 non-overlapping 5-year data sets. So the most recent one is the 2019-2023 data. You can compare that to 5 years. I have to do math here. The 2014-2018 American Community Survey, and then the 2009-2013 American Community Survey for a particular geography. That's the nature of the beast. This is, entirely a function of the sampling design for this for the American Community Survey, and it's designed to provide annual estimates for larger locations and period estimates for smaller locations. This shows why we end up using the 5-year American Community Survey for almost everything. As you look at this, see like 59% of counties have fewer than 20,000 people in them. And almost 89% of the municipalities are in that same boat. And this is in Colorado. Analysis of smaller entities, census-defined places, and tracts require the use of the 5-year data, just because of the definitions of these particular geographies. So I want to really hone in on a very important detail about the American Community Survey. It is designed to provide estimates of the characteristics of the population, not to provide the counts of the population in different areas. What it means is that you should use the ACS to understand percentages and means and rates rather than population counts. Use the numbers from the SDO population estimates, the census populations or whatever, to get counts. Don't use the totals from an ACS table as a count. And we'll talk about this in a little, in some detail right here. So the ACS tables and the population estimates are completely different. Okay. Population estimates are generated using births and deaths and migration. When we look at the municipal population estimates, they also take into account housing growth. That will be different than the counts in the ACS tables because those counts are the weighted sum of the observations. Now you can use a percentage because the percentage is valid relative to the weighted counts in the table, but they're not going to be the same when you look at our population estimates. I will get questions that says, look, your population estimate says that there are X number of people in this geography, but the ACS says there are Y number of people in that geography. What's wrong with the ACS? Well, that's not the proper approach to this. And we'll talk about this in a second. So it leads to a question because some people want to provide a total number of persons within a category, right? So what do you do with this? Well, first of all, if all you need are percentages, and just report the percentages and talk about the margin of error. If the margin of error is the uncertainty introduced into an estimate by the sampling frame, right? Now, if you absolutely need counts, you can calculate a very rough estimate of these counts by multiplying an annual population estimate to the percentage from an ACS table. But you have to recognize, first of all, that all ACS percentages are estimates and they have a margin of error associated with them. And then in most cases, what you're doing is you're multiplying a single year population estimate with a 5-year period from the ACS, which introduces more uncertainty into the result that you calculate. And unfortunately, we can't quantify that uncertainty. So this method will produce something that is probably okay, but it's not the most accurate result. And this example shows this. The question is how many people in Mesa County speak Spanish at home. So we have the information from the ACS table for C16001 for Mesa County. We have the total population estimate. We have the estimate of people who say that they speak Spanish. We have a percentage calculated from those two values. And then we are also looking at the upper and lower bound of that percentage relative, by adding or subtracting the margin of error, right? So now what we're going to do is apply those percentages to the population estimate for Mesa County from 2023. So we end up with a value of about 8,500 people, and with a margin of error of about 1,000, right? So if I were to report this, I would not tell people that there are 8,461 people in Mesa County who speak Spanish. I would say there's about 8,500 people who speak in Mesa County who speak Spanish, but I would make sure that my audience knew that This number is derived by multiplying a single year population estimate to a 5-year period estimate of the ACS. And that is, problematic. Okay. So the question that we keep getting, we're not supposed to use the counts, then why are they in our spreadsheets? Well, one of the things that we want to do is help you facilitate your geographies. We want to help you combine communities together, combine counties together, and we need to give you all the tools that you have that you need so you can manipulate these tables. So this next example will show you how we do this. Okay, we're returning to Acres Green, and here, we're again Acres Green surrounded on 3 sides by Lone Tree. So how do you derive the population of persons under 18 in both Acres Green and Lone Tree? So this example is part of the resources and example spreadsheet up on our website. So you can download that and you can see all the equations and everything in here. But basically what we do is we add up the age category of people who are 0 to 4 and then the age category of people who are 5 to 17 to get the number of people who are 18 or younger, younger than 18, excuse me. Well, for the margins of error, we square those and then add them together. And then once we've got a final sum, we take the square root of the margin of error. And then we calculate the percentage by dividing the estimate by the total. And we get a value of about 17, almost 18%. We calculate a margin of error as well. This is where you need to look at the ACS handbook, chapter 8, page 6, shows how you calculate that. It's a pretty straightforward calculation. Just an aside, you know, in the demography world that I'm familiar with, the craziest math we use are squares and square roots. So you know that, you're good. You can handle this calculation. So what I would tell people then to answer this question, what percentage of the population of Acres Green and Lone Tree is under 18? I would say, well, it's about 17.97%, about 18% with a margin of error of 2%, which means that it's kind of between 15 or 16% and 20%, more or less. So that's kind of the example of how you would go ahead and manipulate this stuff. Okay, we have two things to do. I know I've been running pretty fast here, but we got two things to talk about here. So there are two really important issues that I want to make sure people understand when we deal with the decennial census and the ACS. And the biggest difference between them is really in the scope of the data. Both the decennial census and the ACS use essentially the same methodology, but the number of households that they contact differs. The decennial census tries to enumerate all housing units. And then they've got special collections for folks who are not in housing units, people who are homeless, people who are living in group quarters. They have all these procedures going on. The ACS is a sample of housing units. So instead of trying to get data from every housing unit, they want to get a selection of housing units. And those housing units are selected using a multi-stage probability sample. When I talk to folks about the ACS, we end up talking about three terms a lot: terms of validity and reliability of estimates, and then the precisions of those estimates. And I want to take a moment just to define these terms so that everybody is on the same page. So when we talk about validity, the synonym for validity is truth. And in a survey context, this means, this refers to the question, the content of the questions. It's really important in a survey context that whoever is asking the question and who is ever responding to the question understand what's being asked. And the Census Bureau is constantly testing out questionnaires, questions and developing questionnaires to help understand that communication issue and help to make sure that the questions are as clear as possible. The second part of this is the reliability. Now, when we talk about reliability in a survey context, it means methodology and consistency of data collection. Well, the Census Bureau has been doing this, going out, talking to people in their households, going out, surveying group quarters, talking to folks who are unhoused for some of this for at least 230 years. And they've produced unbiased samples of the population from the ACS for at least 18. They're really, worldwide leaders in the method and consistency of data collection. So reliability of these results and the validity of these results really are not issues. One thing that does vary, however, is the precision of the estimates that they develop. We have the ability, luckily, to measure that precision by using the margin of error and the coefficient of variation, which is an associated statistic. This margin of error is always and only dependent upon the number of observations taken from a particular geography. The larger the geography, the smaller the margin of error. And we have the ability through the sampling method that's used to get a very good estimate of what that uncertainty around a count or a percentage is. And we talked about the margin of error back in May, and you can look at that and take a look at our webinar to get a relatively deep dive up into what the margin of error consists of and how to use it. Okay. So thanks for listening to me for now 45 minutes. And we talked a lot about our website and focused on the American Community Survey and provided some details. As always, our goal is to facilitate your work. So please, if you have any questions about the data provided by SDO, contact us. Coming forward, starting in April, we're going to be looking at doing some regional summary webinars. We haven't figured out all the details about that, so that'll be forthcoming. Please take a look at our webinar page to get up to date about this stuff. And always, take a look at our newsletter, sign up for our newsletter. Everybody signed up for our newsletter, right? Yeah, good. So, and then, we'll, want you to know that we're always here. We always want to help you find data that will help answer your questions. Because our job as part of the Department of Local Affairs is to help serve communities here. So I'm going to stop here. This is my contact information. And, I noticed that there were a couple of questions in here, so we'll look forward to getting those questions. Thanks again. Caitlin?
Thanks, everyone. Let us know if you have any more questions. We'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, well then we got, so if you would please enter your question, Elaine, into the chat, and we can into the Q&A. And yeah, okay. Concerns about loss of access of ACS data. Yes. So since Friday, there have been a lot of issues with technical documentation provided by the Census Bureau. Things are slowly coming back up. We don't have a real great idea about when things are going to be up. Um, in as regards to the American Community Survey, we have a lot of alternative sources available. All of the ACS spreadsheets are on our website and they're available now. We have the SDO Census API, which will also give you access to ACS and census data. It's online, it's available now. If you need information, about the PUMS data, there's iPUMS, which is available from the iPUMS and NSGIS site. So please, take a look at those, and slowly things are starting to come back online. We don't know for sure when everything else is going to be up yet. I'm hoping by the end of the week. I don't know, but we'll keep up to date about that. Oh, and everything's going to be available on our website under the webinars and trainings page. Any other questions from folks? Well, great. Well, thank you very much again, and we'll give you some of your lunch back. Appreciate it. Have a good one.